right. Good morning, everybody. This is the All About Nothing podcast, kind of daily show. Good morning, Bill. How are you?
Good morning, Barrett. Doing super fantastic things.
Super fantastic as always. I am Barrett Gruber, host of the All About Nothing podcast with Zach King, and you can find me on social media at Barrett Gruber. With me here, Mr. Bill Kimler, host of Black, White, and Blue in the South, Dr. Jamil Brooks. Of course, you can follow him at Political Bill SC. Thursday, I feel like the Thursday shows are the better ones.
Really? I didn't even categorize them to make any distinction.
Zach let me in on a little secret that he only listens to Thursdays.
So that's the extra juice that I'm getting.
That's what it is.
So what is it about Tuesday versus Thursday with King?
I don't know. I maybe Tuesdays are a day that he just doesn't get up early, or his. Before we were talking about maybe he's one of these astronauts. He's only on the planet on Thursdays, and we've not yet achieved beaming outside of the atmosphere. Maybe that's what we're missing.
Right.
Anything interesting going on your side?
No, sir.
No.
Just trying to get through the weekend. Next week, I'm going on a little business trip, so I do need to announce that I will not be joining you next Tuesday.
Okay. Do you have any suggestions?
Maybe. Well, we'll have to talk about this offline, but I've got a 13-hour drive ahead of me. So I may have to make some plans. I'll have to see where I will be at 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m. on Tuesday, but I will not be at home. And it's going to be a fun trip. I'm actually returning back to the city that I lived in for almost 2 decades.
Binghamton.
Yeah. Okay. And going there for work. I got a work meeting, but I get to go visit my old stomping grounds. I kind of make it a habit of driving past the house that I used to own and I lived in for many years and just shake my head at how they let it get run down. It was a beautiful house in the city. And every time I go by, they've let the grass get overgrown and the porch looks a mess. And it's just, I just want to go and clean up my house, even though I haven't lived there in over 10 years, 12 years, I still feel very much attached to it.
Yeah, when I go back to Atlanta sometimes, especially if I'm going to go see a Braves game or something like that, I will go back past the house that I lived in for the longest. We did a lot of jumping between houses. My parents did. They used to flip real estate. They used to do work on real estate. Oh, my mother wanted me to tell you something about the first computer.
And I thought we had already established this is my mother too now.
Yeah,
I have been adopted.
You are. This is. There's a semblance of truth to that.
Okay, so what does our mother have to say?
Well, so here's the issue. I forgot, and I deleted the text message, so I no longer have it. It was in respect to what our first computer was, because it wasn't a Tandy. My grandfather had the Tandy. What
you had an Etch-a-Sketch and was told it was a computer.
Yeah, the boot up time sucked. But apparently what we had was it was an AT&T PC, or I'm guessing it was an IBM PC compatible, but it was actually given to AT&T employees, and so that one we didn't purchase. The Tandy was a very expensive one. I want to say it was
I'm glad you got that off your chest. I'm sure you must have been racked with guilt for delivering false information across these days, and we don't abide by that here.
That is true. If I am not corrected within the first, and ultimately that's what it comes down to, if I'm not corrected within the first half hour, 45 minutes after this has been available for people to watch, I forget.
I'm surprised it wasn't a me who corrected you. No, Barrett, back in the 70s, you had a different computer. It wasn't that.
Me didn't exist back in those days. That's not in my universe, and not in any universe, unless regeneration or what is it that people believe in, the
reincarnation.
Reincarnation. You can come back. That brings up an interesting topic, though. Ami sat in with the All About Nothing podcast last night for our recording that comes out on the 15th. We interviewed Reverend Pamela Mella Borowski, who is a certified hypnotist. She is the founder of the 3 Rays of Light. She is an ordained pagan minister and a community spiritual leader. We had her on because I was turned in her direction because I had asked a family member about hypnosis because she said she knew a hypnotist. I said that'd be fantastic to have on the show, maybe to have me hypnotized. We did not hypnotize anyone. That may be something that we do in the future, but a very interesting conversation about what led her to paganism and away from the evangelical Christian church, I guess. But it was an extremely interesting conversation, and I definitely acknowledged my skepticism of magic and things like that. She is also a witch. She is a witch in practice, which again, it was a very interesting conversation. I was really glad to have her on. She does hypnosis for therapy.
I've been hypnotized once.
Have you?
I remember 17 years old, and I was a freshman in college. So it was that September, orientation opening week, and they held a student event over at the student union, and they had a hypnotist comedian come on stage and called for volunteers from the audience, and I got picked. So skinny old Bill went up there, 17, sat there, and I was skeptical. But he put the group through mass hypnosis, and so I have kind of a weird take on it. I don't believe I was hypnotized, yet I followed through on the commands that were given me, which was a weird experience. So for me, it was the command I was given was to, when the fingers were snapped or when a command was given, I would suddenly realize that I was on stage without any clothes on. Like that was the command given to me to see how I would react.
Okay.
So I'm sitting there in this state. I am fully aware of my surroundings. I'm fully aware that I'm being given this command. I'm fully aware that I'm actually clothed. Yet when he snapped his fingers, I felt compelled to play a part. I was like, well, I'm supposed to go along with this.
Yeah.
And so I fully fell out of my chair, ran behind the chair, tried to hide behind the chair, and everybody was laughing and so on. And it was a strange experience where I knew all the facts of the situation, yet I felt compelled to go through with it anyway. And so that was my one little experience with hypnotism. So I don't know if I fell under where I have no memory, when I was brought, that didn't happen. Yet I still performed like a monkey up there. So I don't know what it was.
Yeah, and ultimately, I wonder if that's part of what is the hypnosis in that, especially in that group. Sort of, you're on stage, and obviously, this guy is doing it to ooh and awe the crowd, or to get a laugh at maybe some of the things that you all do. But like, I don't think it's that I'm skeptical that someone can be hypnotized, because even in the episode, I talk about how, if let's say you're going to be driving for 13 hours. There will be points in time potentially during that drive, if it was me, where I would sort of zone out. I'd still be in complete control of the car. I'm obviously not having any issues, but I would completely zone out and potentially not remember passing by road signs or through cities or whatever. But then I thought about one particular experience where I was driving back from a camping trip late at night because we got torrentially downpoured rain. There had been a tornado warning.
Was this your alien abduction story?
Not yet. No. That happened years later. But the drive back, I remember very specifically that it was about a 3.5 hour drive from this campsite to where we lived in Atlanta. And there were parts of that drive I just don't remember, but I remember, but what I do remember is always looking in the rearview mirror, because the friends that were camping with us that were driving behind us, I kept looking to make sure they were behind us, because either for some reason there was something wrong with their car, so I wanted to make sure if they had to pull over or whatever. But I don't remember exactly what it was. But what I do remember was the tar repair little lines in the road reflecting off of the car headlights. And we got home, and I remember saying to my brother, I don't remember any of that drive. I had somehow put myself into some sort of a transcendental state where I'm able to drive the car. I'm able to get home successfully, safely, but I don't remember any of it. So
what's funny? I don't remember any of your story.
Oh,
I have
Lord.
completely zoned out. I was in a trance, and like here we are 15 minutes later, and I have no idea what you just told me.
That's fair. That's
Okay.
fair. Have I ever told you I like you and you're my friend? What does the date December 22nd, 2032 strike out as any sort of date of importance for you? Doesn't have to.
I think that may be the day I get to have sex again. I
Oh,
think that's going to be an important day. Yes.
that is a good distance off, my friend. December 22nd, 2032 was the date that the asteroid 2024 YR4 had a 1 in 83 chance of impacting with Earth. It's about a 60, I think they said it's like 200 feet across. It's a relatively large asteroid floating this close in orbit in a similar orbit with Earth. But the chance of it hitting Earth has become minuscule. I mean, 1 in 83 is pretty big chance, but it's pretty far off now. There is still a possibility that it may hit the moon. That on December 22nd or right on December 22nd, there is still a possibility that it could potentially hit the moon. I'm fascinated by this because
this has nothing to do with the witch you interviewed.
No.
Oh, I thought. Okay, see, I thought there was a transition happening where she gave a prediction about it.
This show.
So I'm sitting here waiting. What does she say? What does she say?
This show is nothing but hard segues.
Gotcha. Okay, so let me recover from the whiplash.
Yeah, but apparently the the James Webb Space Telescope got a fairly good picture of it recently. I guess back in December as it floated past on its yearly flight near us. But that was where they got the size of it. So a 200-foot or 60 meters in diameter, apparently, if it had hit the Earth, would have likely been a substantial impact that would have potentially caused the annihilation of a good portion of the population on the planet. Like,
right,
we just barely missed this one.
There's a phenomenal movie I would recommend if you're into that end of the world meteorite or meteor hits the Earth, causes global catastrophe film. Greenland is an amazing movie. Have you seen that?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
What's his name? Gerard
Butler.
Yeah, he was amazing in it, but it was one of the most realistic depictions of a global catastrophe that I'd seen, and it had me on the edge of my seat. It was really well done.
I think I've talked about it with someone else before, but the only thing that I thought was left out of it, and two, I think too, it's that it accomplished more in the movie by not having it, but they didn't really, they made the asteroid or the comet in that movie less of a character, and they focused more on just the social implications.
Yes, that's what I liked. That's what I loved about it.
I thought that was what made it really good. Yeah.
I think they're in the process of making a sequel to it.
Oh, really?
To delve into the aftermath, which I think will be very interesting. Yeah. How much do you want to bet that is the reason why Donald Trump is obsessed with acquiring Greenland? Like, he saw that movie and said, well, shit, I've got to have it now. Because it came out of nowhere. There was no other reason why he would bring that up. So I'm having to guess it was the movie.
I would love to have some excuse, but I can't. And that would be a really good one. I think, I don't know if you and I were the ones that talked about this, but I think that based on the fact that what we see now out of Donald Trump is him mostly sitting behind his desk, signing or playing golf, signing executive orders, or he's playing golf. And the more and more that the Whiskey Gate or the Signal Gate or the Gmail Gate now, the more that these things come to light, and the fact that his initial response is I don't know anything about that, to questions having to do with very high level people in his administration. I think that in the first 60 days of Donald Trump's presidency, he has already completely checked out. I think that he is.
Well, will you be watching the opening bell of the stock market this morning?
It's going to take a dump.
you have seen the futures overnight.
Oh, yeah.
The overnight trading has it dropping over 1,000 points
Oh, yeah.
at opening. One
That is
statistic I saw that the United States lost $2 trillion of wealth in 10 minutes.
yeah. That is 1,000 points is more than the drop in the before the Great Depression back in 1929.
Yeah.
May of 19 we are we are almost 100 years to date in respect to the Great Depression. Um, yeah, no, economists are basically saying that this is the precursors to what will be either a Great Recession or a potential depression. Mark Cuban actually came out last night in a blue sky posting saying that that if you have it in you, today is the day to go to Walmart and basically fill your coffers with all of the consumables, your toothpastes, your batteries, and soap and things like that. Non edibles, but the consumables that you know you'll need potentially over the course of the next 2 years. Because
Listen, I've eaten toothpaste before. I'm not too proud to have admitted that. If we're down and we're needing a good minty snack,
I've been
toothpaste is always right there.
I've been fed soap before.
Well, one thing that that's another episode right there. One thing I'm very grateful for, and I had shared with you the full story of my car exploding on the highway and
Yeah.
having to go get a new car. I am very grateful that that actually occurred, and that I got my new Toyota Camry or whatever it is in February before all of these taxes and price hikes and supply issues hit. Very, very grateful I was able to lock in when I did. Didn't plan it, but I'm glad it happened.
Yeah. I actually have a looming service that's supposed to be coming up on my vehicle, which is that my 2005 Honda Element, having nearly 300,000 miles on it, is now due for my shocks and struts and bearings to be replaced. Because in the last few weeks, in driving my vehicle, I have had what sounds at first sounded like a grinding noise coming out of the back left, but it's not a grinding noise. It is literally the repetitious beating of the car against the top of the spring or the strut, the shock absorber back there. So it's literally making this, but it's going so quickly it sounds like a grinding noise. And so I actually have a repair date that I will be able to check the vehicle in, because the people that are doing it are this is what they do. They're specialists. So it brings the price down a little bit, but the cost of the parts was something that I was concerned about with the looming tariffs that will be put in place. Fortunately, they bought the parts already. And when I put my car in the shop, it will be at the cost of the parts from before the tariffs. So Donald Trump is imposing tariffs on every country on the planet.
And actually, some reporter identified that he's even imposed tariffs on uninhabited islands.
Yeah,
Like he's named islands in this document that there aren't even people that live there.
Yeah. So with with imposing these tariffs, he then said that if those countries impose reciprocal tariffs, that it will trigger additional tariffs. This is almost the quintessential, if you can't dish it, or if you can't take it, don't dish it. And it's like he's playing the presidency as though it's some sort of a I don't know, schoolyard back and forth argument, or just, tormenting each other with taunts. And now he's decided that even countries that we have not had any sort of ambassadorships to in the last ever, in some cases, are now on these lists, like you said, of quite literally the Canary Islands are listed as. And what do we get from the Canary Islands? Well,
The Canaries.
yeah, we didn't. There was nothing listed. There was nothing to tariff, but every country on the planet now has a 20% tariff that's been imposed on it, or whatever. I'm dumbfounded at just how.
So there's always two sides to the dumbfounded. You're dumbfounded at the action itself.
Yeah.
And then you're dumbfounded when supporters eventually come online and make excuses or say that we don't know what we're talking about, or they support this. That's where it even becomes more dumbfounding. It's like, yes, we now support higher prices on everything. The one reason why everybody said they had to get rid of Biden, now they have done a complete 180 and said we now support higher prices and it's patriotic to pay more.
Yeah.
The F is going on?
I can't. And I don't like the idea of calling people names or stupid or significantly increasing my attacks on their intelligence. But I feel like the jokes are writing themselves.
Yeah.
And I think I was telling somebody just the other day, I said that one of the things that I really don't, that I'm really trying not to do is to attack somebody's intelligence because they admit that they voted for Trump, which, you voted for Trump, just whatever. That was your mistake to be made, and that's we can't fix it. But the fact that you will acknowledge that, yes, things are going to get harder, but was that part of the deal? I mean, we all knew that things weren't going to be good? The ones that didn't vote for Donald Trump, the ones that recognized the pattern of behavior from his first presidency, or the narcissistic tendency to always require attention, regardless of whether he was doing something good or bad, which always bad. But like, I struggle with not just constantly putting my thumb on them and just going, this is because of you. This is because of you and everyone like you that we have this Donald Trump in office again, who's now talking about a third term, which people in his administration are like, no, he's just joking. He's not.
Well, we've
serious.
had a wild 48 hours. The tariffs are only at the tail end of it. We had Elon Musk losing the election in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Which was fantastic. I wish he had gotten more involved in the Florida races, because they would have lost there. They were so close. I'm sure his involvement would have tipped the scale in the other direction.
Yeah. I was just going to say, these were Florida districts that Donald Trump won by 30 points and 20 something points. And the Democrats came within 5 points. Like, there was no reason to think they were going to win based on, there was polling that sort of indicated that there was a surge for both the Democrats.
And I'm convinced that if Elon Musk had been there doing rallies in Florida, then the Democrats would have won in an incredible upset.
Yeah.
We had Cory Booker speak for 25 hours.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to ask you this question. Did you know Senator Cory Booker before he went up there and did this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you say that he's fairly well known throughout South Carolina?
Well, considering he was one of the speakers for the Democratic convention, the South Carolina Democratic Convention last year, which you invited me to, which I appreciate the table spot. So I think Cory Booker was known, and I think that one of the reasons that he is well known is because he had been, and he may still be, dating my ex-girlfriend, Rosario Dawson. But no,
the reason why I asked is that I got into a little debate with an internet stranger, as we're wont to do. But this person says that, they're questioning why Cory Booker did this, and was it just a political stunt to get himself some, recognition? And I argued he doesn't need the recognition. He's pretty well known. And somebody says, no, I'm from New Jersey, and outside the tri-state area, he's relatively unknown. And I said, that is absolute BS. I got to tell you, I'm pretty sure. I mean, he's been down to South Carolina 4 times since he ran for president in 2019.
Yeah.
And I think he's very well known throughout this area and very well liked. But I can't believe that was an argument that was being made. And I was wondering if it was just me.
No, Cory Booker, I think, has a level of popularity that he could potentially, I think we could see him running for president again. And I think that he's charismatic. He
Oh, he's
obviously,
the best speaker I've ever witnessed in life.
yeah,
Best speaker, easily, hands down. If he does run again, he is my front runner. And I even think, what if Kamala Harris ran again? I think I would still lean towards Cory Booker, and that's no shade against Kamala Harris.
sure.
I think she was a phenomenal candidate, but at this moment in time, I think we need more of a charismatic leader. And I think Cory Booker outdoes her in that category. I think she's a great leader. I think she's got great personality, especially compared to many other candidates. But Cory Booker is second to none. And I think this moment calls more for charisma than anything else. That's just the way it is. And
Yeah.
the goal is to win that election. So that should be whatever skills you have to go in that direction.
Yeah. Well, and ultimately, I think there's still going to be a fairly a fairly heavy question as to who the Republicans are going to wind up putting up, because if you just take Donald Trump out of it, the idea that he cannot run again because constitutionally he cannot be elected to a third term. If he still runs, which I think that he ultimately will still run, I think that they will have a campaign if he's alive. He's going to be 82 years old. He's not in very good health.
All right,
His
so take him
mind,
out of the equation. I agree with you
yeah,
there.
take him
Do
out
you
of the
think
equation.
the anti-charisma JD Vance is the
No.
lead nominee?
No, JD, and already the pundits on the right have already said that JD Vance will not be the candidate for president. They've already acknowledged that he has zero skill when it comes to it. Works in Ohio, but that's because Ohio is a fucking weird place. Sorry,
You've
it's
just started a war with the Ohioans. Good job.
take me on Skyline Chili. No, screw you. No, but they've already acknowledged that JD Vance is fine for Ohio because of Ohio being Ohio. But no, he is zero effort. I can't even think he is an insult to my intelligence is what because JD Vance is just an actor. Because it was 5 years ago, he was almost a completely different person. And he plays whatever role it is that he has to play. But so take Donald Trump out of it. JD Vance is not going to be it. Who else in the Republican Party do they have that could potentially run for president? I mean, I don't, they have not, they have focused in on this nearly ancient depreciating Donald Trump, who again I think has basically checked out. I think that he plays golf every weekend. He basically comes to the White House so that he can then fly, and also the amount of money that it's costing us for him to play golf literally every weekend is something that Republicans would be flipping out at if it was Joe Biden going to the beach every single weekend. Because Joe Biden didn't go to the beach every weekend. He didn't go play golf every single weekend. He was working most of the time because the presidency is a 24-hour job, 7 days a week. Yeah, you get some breaks. I'll give it to you. That's not an issue. But every weekend we have to pay for him to fly to Mar-a-Lago to host, whoever. And then, oh God, and then
Barrett,
Kid Rock. I'm sorry,
Barrett, but
this
be
is just
honest.
spewing.
Where would you rather Trump be? Out golfing and out of harm's way, or sitting in the Oval Office on the weekends, causing even more shit?
I would rather him be golfing.
I would rather him be golfing 7 days a week.
I
So
don't
I would
disagree.
not be raising these objections. I'd be encouraging more golf trips.
It's not necessarily that there are even objections. It's that I want I want some acknowledgement. I want the Republicans to look at it and go, yeah, he is kind of doing what we've complained about for years about Obama and Biden, and that he's the things that we projected onto them are what Donald Trump is actually doing. And I just it's not that I want people to continue to argue about it. I just want them to acknowledge it. Ultimately, that's what I want. Like when you talked about getting into an argument with somebody online or a discussion, I don't like getting in those discussions. But if they're wrong and I'm right, at some point I want them just to go, you know what? The facts are the facts. That's where we're at. This is the facts are the facts. And someone can say that I have Trump derangement syndrome. I don't care about Donald Trump. He doesn't affect me. He could die tomorrow and I'd be like, well, fuck, there he is. how are they going to fit that into 2 different caskets? What the hell? Sorry. Okay.
Wow.
On that bombshell, I think that probably should wrap it up. The TikTok comments are going crazy. All right. That's going to do it for today. Big thanks for everybody tuning in. Don't forget, you can follow me at Barrett Gruber and Bill at Political Bill SC. You can catch us live every Tuesday and Thursday, except potentially not next week because Bill might not be here. But we'll see. You could phone it in if you wanted.
You can get other Bill to show up at 5:30 in the morning if you want.
That would be impressive, right? That would be impressive. I could potentially, maybe I'll message Doctor. Let me write that down. I message Dr. Jamil about 5:30 morning show.
Oh, you ain't gonna get her. I'll tell you that right now.
Are you guys still making your trip to Columbia this weekend?
Yes.
That's exciting. That is going to be really. I think that's going to be really neat. And I'm glad that Heather Bauer is going to be entering the our universe as far as a podcast. So that's really, really cool. That's a big get. She's good. So, all right. Like I said, you can catch us every Tuesday and Thursday right around this time, 5:30, because we do it to entertain ourselves. It's not for you. Until next time, you all stay safe, be kind, keep your hands to yourself. And in the time it took you to listen to this episode, at least 3 people have fallen into the Grand Canyon. So nature is both beautiful and unforgiving. That was good. That was good. I'm sorry.